Good morning, I'm P. Renada. Welcome to Rappler Talk. Today we're with NAPSI chairperson, former NAPSI chairperson Liza Maza, who is now, who just yesterday tendered her resignation as NAPSI chair. So good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, what a way to start the week for everyone. Nag-resign po kayo yesterday.
Yes.
So actually, we wanted to talk about that. Could you just take us through your decision-making process? When did you first decide that you would resign?
Actually, what triggered it is the recent experience that I had together with three of my colleagues from Makabayan. No? As everyone knows by now, that there was a fabricated case way back in 2006 during the time of President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and that case was revived. This is a double murder case. Implicating the four of us, and there was a warrant of arrest that was issued last July 11, which we knew only, I think, after SONA. No? So because we know that that case was clearly fabricated, so our first impulse was to protect ourselves. No? So I took a leave from my work as lead convener of NAPSI. And then our lawyers represented us in court, and we filed a motion for reconsideration until finally the new judge, the third motion, dismissed the case and quashed the warrant of arrest. Mm-hmm. At the same time, last August 14, the president, I think with finality, said that he is terminating the peace negotiations. And you know, this is very important for me, because when I accepted the position as lead convener of NAPSI, one of my objectives was really to help facilitate the talks in the way that I know that there will be agreements that will be forged between the government and the National Democratic Front. And such agreement is the Comprehensive Agreement on Social and Economic Reforms, which is very important in order to, as a step towards the resolution of the armed conflict. And I know that as Anti-Poverty Commission, we can very much facilitate whatever implementation of that agreement will be, when such is signed. So I was really hoping for that. So that was one of the factors also.
Okay.
So another is that we also know that that in the last SONA, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and you know the history of Makabayan with President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, the Batasan 6, wherein we were during the time, during the state of emergency that President Arroyo during that time imposed, and they wanted to arrest us for crime of rebellion. So all these things really, I reflected on these circumstances, and I said that, there is no way that the change that I would like to pursue as a member of the cabinet and lead convener of the National Anti-Poverty Commission would be realized. Mm-hmm. So I decided to, resign, and I think that it will be better for me to serve the interests of the poor and the marginalized by going back to the streets, mm-hmm. and rejoining the Parliament of the Streets.
Mm-hmm. Yesterday, you also mentioned the Marcoses and how you were worried about their return to power, yes, or parang they're back in the political limelight. Yes. Could you just elaborate on that?
Yes,
point?
Because I think that change cannot happen if the old forces are consolidating their position in government. So who are the old forces? These are the Marcoses, the forces of fascism, the forces of corruption. You know that we also actively filed charges, against former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo in relation to different acts of corruption. And also, as long as the defenders of elite interests and foreign interests are in place, it's very difficult. It's almost impossible to attain the changes that we want.
Ma'am, a week ago, yung Malacanang announced a plan of the presidents to step down if ever Ferdinand Marcos Jr. wins the electoral contest. Did that strike you? Was that news also worrisome to you when you heard it?
Actually, looking back, nauna pa nga ako mag-resign presidente. But definitely it is worrisome because you know, the problem with the Marcoses is that they haven't really accepted, you know, the historical crimes that their father committed. You know? And so, if you cannot accept, and if you cannot even, you know, honestly say that these things happen, and you also accept indeed martial law happened. There were many victims, and there were corruption also during that time. But if you keep on justifying and erasing history, the memory of that period, so how can you rectify it? So I think for me that is very important. But the Marcoses up to this time haven't really accepted the role of their father, you know, and the Marcoses for that matter, regarding repression, human rights violations, and corruption.
So ma'am, because these issues, si GMA bagging the speakership, the Marcoses being back in the limelight, possibly even coming into power soon, these are issues that have just arisen now sa itong third year ni President.
Yes,
but even before then, there were already many issues that the left have also been quite vocal about. For example, the extrajudicial killings, the way he talks about women. Did you ever consider resigning before during those issues, when those issues were coming up? And how come you didn't resign?
Well, actually, of course, I don't agree with the extrajudicial killings, also with the statements that the President have uttered, which are very anti-women. You know, I have always been against this, and I think that when I accepted the membership to the cabinet and this position at the NAPSI, the President knows very well who I am. You know, and I think he also accepts that I will not agree with all that he's doing. You know? But then, of course, there is still, as I've said, one of the primary reasons why I accepted is because of the peace negotiations. And there were also, of course, very real. Actually, there were already, you know, breakthrough agreements that were forged between the two parties. And these, for me, are very important as well. So, unfortunately, ito na nga yung sinabi, no? And then they are also again reiterating that the government will only pursue again or resume peace negotiations if the NDF will agree that the negotiations will be held here in the Philippines, which I also do not agree. No? Kasi pumosisyon na yung NDF dyan dati pa, and I think it is just common sense that when you talk, and this is the experience also of other peace negotiations in other countries, lahat yan sa neutral venue ginawa.
May point pa, ma'am, when you were able to voice your concerns about the EJK, his remarks about women to the President personally.
Actually, syempre, iba na yung way ko, ano? Kasi may access naman ako directly, di ba? And also with other women in the nag-uusap-usap din kami at sinasabi rin namin yan. No?
So ano po yung
like for example, yung Commission on Women, no, they are also very concerned at pinapaabot din yung mga concerns namin tungkol dyan. No? Also our NAPSI women sector, no? pinag-usapan din namin na sinasabi ko rin, yes, and you can read this statement. We will post it in our website because this is important for women.
But did you ever talk to the President about these concerns?
Alam mo, as I've said, towards the last months of 2017, at busy na rin si Presidente doon sa Marawi. Hindi na ako nagkaroon talaga ng direct contact with him.
But if you were able to talk to him, mayroon po ba siyang reaction or ano po bang sinabi niya?
Hindi ko alam. Hindi ko alam. I mean, I don't want to second guess him, pero alam naman niya, kasi matagal na akong kilala ni Presidente. Noon pang nasa bayan muna ako, 2001. So alam niya ang position ko sa mga bagay na ito. At hindi naman ako tumatahimik o hindi ko naman tinatago ang position ko tungkol sa mga bagay, lalo na nakapatungkol sa kababaihan.
Pero in cabinet meetings, ma'am, do you recall if
sa cabinet meetings, hindi na namin napapag-usapan sa cabinet meetings.
Mga remarks. Kasi like you pointed out, you're one of the few cabinet members na babae.
Mga statements na ito, yung medyo, yung before, nung nagka-campaign pa, and then, yung latter part na, 2017, if I may recall. No? But, wala talagang time or walang pagkakataon sa cabinet meeting na ma-erase. Although I remember I did raise some issues, for example, regarding train and regarding the peace talks during the cabinet meeting. Kasi yun yung issue at the time.
And how did he respond to those concerns?
And also, I think yung SSS.
Yes, opo.
Yung
Di ba parang
nagkaroon din
conflict
kami
among the cabinet groups?
So, ganun din. And yung iba pang mga issues, alam naman nila kung ano ang siguro yung position ko doon, kami noon nila Kapaeng at saka ni Judy. So, during cabinet meetings, ina-allow naman niya na mag-voice out kami ng mga positions. Pero of course, minority kami doon sa cabinet kumbaga.
Ano po ba yung mga different groupings? So may leftist?
Actually, well, we know, ang strong naman dyan yung mga economic managers, di ba? So, alam naman din siguro ng lahat na I'm against neoliberal policies. No? So I'm pushing for, rural and agricultural development na naka-anchor doon sa genuine agrarian reform and also developing our national industries. So, and this is not the direction of our economic managers. So, may naman, pinag-usapan din namin yung tungkol sa contractualization, yung ENDO. So, I also presented my views regarding that. So, but of course, ultimately, kung ano yung strong influence doon, yun yung namamayani.
So, the economic managers usually sila po yung may influence.
Yes. And of course, the other members as well.
Are you talking about, ma'am, the defense and military establishment? Is that something?
Yes.
Another grouping?
Yeah. They're also very strong. Alam naman natin how former military and police officials have been positioned in different offices in the bureaucracy.
And ma'am, there was a time presidential spokesman Harry Roque mentioned in a press briefing that he hasn't been seeing you in cabinet meetings. Is this true, and could you explain how he could have maybe made that observation?
Well, una, nung ma-attend ako ng cabinet meetings, hindi pa naman siya na-appoint. Well, secondly, nung nandyan na siya, hindi na ako ini-invite sa cabinet meetings. That was, I think, mga September or October of 2017. So, kaya hindi kami nakikita. But of course, he can very well just ask the cabinet secretary who sends out the invitations instead of just bringing out in the public and casting doubt sa aking responsibility as a member of the cabinet.
Did you start to notice, ma'am, that you weren't receiving the invitation?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I asked. Pero walang makasagot sa kanila.
Sino po tinanong niyo, yung PMS?
Yeah.
Pero
tinanong ko rin si CABSEC. Oo.
What did he say?
Wala naman silang sinasabi. So ako naman, I went about doing what I have to do, no? Doon sa NAPSI, lalo na kailangan na isa kasing mandato namin, no? Aside from policy oversight and coordination and monitoring of poverty alleviation projects is strengthening the basic sectors and giving them a platform in government, no? Para mapakinggan kung ano man yung mga problema nila, ano man yung kanilang mga perspectives, suggestions nila o resolutions sa mga concrete problems nila in the day-to-day. Like for example, yung kadamay, nung nagkaroon ng occupation, so I really facilitated, in Malacanang para ipaliwanag ba't nangyari ito, etc., etc.
How much did it affect your work as NAPSI chair that you weren't allowed or invited to attend cabinet meetings?
Well, syempre, importante yon kasi importante yung trabaho ko no? And besides, coordination ito at saka monitoring ng poverty alleviation projects. So, and we know na doon dinidiscuss yung mga policy directions. So, specifically doon sa aming task ko bilang dapat sana nagmo-monitor ng mga proyekto na para sa kahirapan, no? Kaugnay sa problema ng kahirapan. At titingnan ko kung ano rin ba yung mga mahalaga na initiatives or mahalaga na decisions and how it will impact on the poor. So yun yung nawawala pagka hindi ka nakaka-attend dun sa cabinet meeting. No, of course, meron din akong mga proposals, di ba? Kung paano natin masusolusyonan yung kahirapan. Actually, naglabas nga kami isang package of proposals covering economic, social, and political reforms. So ito yung inilabas namin into a book, ang title, Reforming Philippine Anti-Poverty Policy. At doon, talagang pinag-aralan, ano ba yung ating economic history, bakit ba yung mga patakaran na tinutupad pa hanggang sa ngayon, hindi naman nagwo-work at hindi naman talaga nag-i-impact doon sa pag-aangat ng mga mahihirap mula sa kahirapan. So, ito at saka ano ba yung, kasi nakaangko yung proposal namin sa apat, no? Yung isa, yung pag-i-implement nga ng General Agrarian Reform, tapos yung agro-industrial development, yung pag-develop ng ating manufacturing sector, no? National industrialization, tapos yung social reform, talagang kailangan mag-implement ng comprehensive at saka yung social policy na talagang hindi lang tulad ngayon na papatsi-patsi, talaga siyang dapat comprehensive at saka inclusive.
Pero meron po ba kayong representative sa cabinet meeting man lang?
Wala.
Wala rin.
So ito yung mga proposals namin. And I have engaged various agencies para ipaliwanag sa kanila itong proposals na ito. At okay naman, dahil sa nakikita nga nila may dirt doon sa, ano ba yung pwede pang ibang gawin, no? Kasi wala pang sumusubok nito, di ba? So maganda naman yung response ng ibang mga ahensya, yung ating mga technical people sa mga agencies, etc. So, I think it is important, no? Actually, meron din naman kaming venue, yung NAPSI and Bank, that is chaired by the President. No? Pero after 2 meetings, hindi na rin nakapag-meeting yun. Better na rin, kasi better na rin siguro dahil sa during the previous administration, hindi sila nakapag-meeting kahit isang beses, no?
So at least twice.
Anyhow, ito dalawa. So, but then apektuhan na rin ito nung Marawi crisis. Pero, maganda sanang venue para rin, dahil nandoon yung mga basic sectors, no? Para diretsa na makausap, madinig ng presidente, ano ba yung mga issues ng ating mga mahihirap na sektor.
Ma'am, did Duterte disappoint you? Especially with his pivot to the Marcoses, yung si GMA getting back into power, did he disappoint?
Well, that in particular, yes. But also very much so in relation to the peace talks. No? Kasi sa akin, mahalaga talaga yun eh. Because I think that this is the path towards really resolving the armed conflict that has persisted in our country for many, many years. And I expect that with the peace negotiations, the agreements on economic and social reforms, political reforms, electoral reforms, all these things will be tackled there.
But sagot naman po ni Roque, meron pa naman daw peace talks, but local level.
No, it will
accept
not. That? No, it's not going to. It is not going to work because that has been suggested before. Nung unang-una pa, tinanggihan na yan ng NDF. I don't think they will ever, accept such conditions. Meron din kasi silang, we also have to respect their structure, no? Meron silang structure, and they have appointed these negotiators. So, it's difficult to undermine that. Hindi naman siguro fair din yun, di ba?
A lot of netizens naman po, yung pinapoint out naman po nila with regards to the Marcos, all this news about Marcos, was that they expected it from the very beginning. They were saying, ito yung plano naman talaga ni President Duterte from the start. Is a sentiment something you've heard as well? That he's always been like the decoy of the Marcoses?
I don't know exactly, no? But then, alam mo si Presidente, if you know him, di ba, ang dami niya sinasabi. So, I mean, marami siyang sinasabi, but at the end of the day, of course, what he does is what is more important, di ba? Kaya, kahit yung peace talks, resume, and then nag-back down, sinabi ni Presidente, ayaw na niya, and then gusto pa, and then bubuksan ulit. So, marami. But this time, parang kahit yata ang NDF, nawalan na rin ng pag-asa. Kaya siguro mas iba yung kalidad ng nangyayari ngayon, na nagsabi si Presidente at na tina-terminate na niya, at kahit naman yung NDF ay sinasabi rin na mukhang mahirap na magkaroon ng peace talks with the current administration.
Mm-hmm. As former NAPSI chief, do you think the President is serious about fighting poverty?
Well, actually, nung simula, parang meron naman siyang intention, pero alam mo, nung simula pa lang nakita ko na flow doon na yung ating kasing, and this is what is contained in our proposal. Ito yung critique namin na nakalagay din doon sa sinasabi kong policy paper, na yung ating economic policy, meaning yung monetary policy natin, fiscal policy, yung trade policy, investment policy, all this, parang detached doon sa ating anti-poverty policy. Mm-hmm. No? Kaya nung nakita ko yung economic managers na in-appoint are precisely also those who are pursuing the neoliberal economic policy. Tapos ako, as a progressive, nandun ako sa anti-poverty. Kitang-kita mo kung paano ka-detach yun. Kaya nga ang proposal namin dapat, with 21.9 million people, below the poverty line. Tapos, napakataas pa rin, 21.6% of our population ay mahihirap. Kailangan ang sentro ng ating paggogobyerno, especially ang center of our economic policy making, should be in the direction of really alleviating poverty. So dapat yung anti-poverty policy natin, ang nasa sentro at saka integrated sa economic policy. So, and that is the reason why it's not going to work. na kung ganon klase na hiwalay yung economic policy mo doon sa anti-poverty policy mo. Parang residual lang, no? Okay, you implement train and then magbigay ka ng 200 or 300 pesos para sumalo doon sa maapektuhan. Pero actually, hindi na talaga makakop kahit yung mga middle class. Nahihirapan na rin sila ngayon. Kaugnay noong pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin. Kahit pa nga yung sinasabi na relief doon sa hindi na sila magbabayad ng tax, di ba? Yung yung ma-exempt doon sa pagbabayad ng buwis, doon hindi commensurate yung itinaas ng mga bilihin at ng iba pang mga serbisyo. So, kaya may disconnect, no? Kaya ito yung isa sa mga flaws ng ating economic planning at saka economic policy making. But nevertheless, siguro ang naging contribution ko dito, i-challenge yung mainstream thinking at sabihin that there is another way.
Ma'am, yung ibang progressives who were in the cabinet, pero umalis po eventually, whether dahil hindi po in-approve ng CA, bumalik po sila sa movement. Like for example, si former DSWD Secretary Judy, sumali na po siya sa Babae Ako movement, and si Kapa Mariano also quite vocal against certain policies. Is that something that you can expect from you as well?
Yes, as I also said yesterday when I had my press conference to announce my resignation, I will go back to the Parliament of the Streets. I will go back to the mass movement. Specifically, I'm concerned dito sa mga gawa-gawang kaso, yung mga human rights violations, yung mga arbitrary arrest. I think there is also a need for me to contribute my efforts dun sa lalo na doon sa mga nabibiktima ng ganito. At ang isa pa, I think it is also important for us to discuss yung mga binabanggit ko ng policies. No? Kasi ang sinasabi ko nga, it is not enough that we change the rulers, the people who are holding the government right now, but it is also very important that we look at the policies that they are implementing. Kasi every administration would say that they want changes. Pero pag tinignan mo, the more they say they want changes, the more you look and see that everything is very much the same. Yung mga polisiyang pang-ekonomiya, the same repressive policies, the same anti-poor policies. No? So, hindi talaga magkakaroon ng tunay na pagbabago. So, I would like also to engage in siguro mga public information or raising the consciousness of the general public to examine this. Mas magkaroon sana ng marami pang venue para maunawaan natin bakit kailangan talaga ng pagbabago. At merong solusyon, may path. At kailangan lang nating maunawaan at kailangan din tayong kumilos para marating ito.
Ma'am, may question rin po tayo from netizens. So, kasi we try to crowdsource questions from the internet. So, ito po from @GS Felas. Yung tanong po niya is, one of the government's focus is to shift the focus to rural areas and agriculture. In Australia, drought has been declared and has damaged the agricultural sector. What is the government's response or plans to climate change, which is a threat to the sector?
Well, that's a very big problem, no? So, when we say, again, siguro iba yung appreciation ko sa dapat na approach. We may be talking about rural and agricultural development, but how to go there may be through different paths. Like, some people may be talking about agriculture and rural development, pero ang gusto nila yung mga corporate farms coming in, heavily inputted with fertilizers and pesticides. Yun talaga nakakasira sa environment. No? Tapos, and not only that, they are owned by multinational corporations or landlords. Wala talagang na-contribute din na equitable distribution, etc. So yung path na pinopropose namin ay kailangan magkaroon talaga ng pamamahagi ng lupa. Yung mga magsasaka, kailangan mapasa kanila na yung lupa. And then mabigyan sila ng suporta like farm inputs, technology, support, etc. so that the land can be more productive, no? Kasi ang agriculture, mas tumataas ang value niyan kung if you produce on a mass scale, no? So, pwedeng magkaroon ng cooperatives, tapos pwede rin na maging very friendly sa environment, encouraging organic farming, at saka yung mga organic inputs, all these things para hindi nasisira yung environment. So, that's another approach, a different approach. Kaya, dapat, tingnan din natin yung substance ng mga approaches, hindi lang we're just talking about, developing the rural areas, pero ang nakinabang din pala yung mga mayayaman at hindi rin pala yung mga magsasaka, di ba? Yung mga maliliit, yung mga mahihirap na nasa mga rural areas natin.
Alright. So ma'am, we come to our last two questions. So as NAPSI chief, sino po yung napupusuan nyo, or at least anong characteristics yung dapat meron yung bagong NAPSI chief?
Siyempre, by its very name, no, anti-poverty, dapat yung talagang nakakiling doon sa mga mahihirap. Kasi sa NAPSI, nandito yung 14 basic sectors. Talagang merong recognition dito na merong mga marginalized sectors, mga mahihirap na sektor sa lipunan natin na kailangan tulungan ng gobyerno at mabigyan ng boses. No? So dapat, kiling siya sa interest nitong mga to. No? At ganoon din, siyempre, the usual, kailangan hindi kurakot, di ba? Tapos, magandang record, talagang may record ng pagsiservisyo, na tapat. So,
meron po ba kayong advice for the next NAPSI chief, whether it be paano mag-relate kay President, how to make sure that the policies are implemented, especially in this administration?
Well, this is what I always say, no? Kahit dun sa mga staff namin doon sa NAPSI, what I always say is that, being in government is really service. It's service to the people, and that is what you should always remember, and that should always be your framework, no? Hindi talaga yung parang trabaho lang to, di ba? Trabaho lang to, o di kaya pupunta ka sa para iangat yung karir mo, para magpayaman, etc. Hindi, yung paggugobyerno, serbisyo yun. No? Pagpasok sa gobyerno is a service. It's a public service, it's service to the people.
All right. Thank you, ma'am, for your time.
Thank you.
So we were just speaking with former NAPSI Secretary Liza Maza. This has been Rappler Talk. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.